Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their final game of the season at home. They're 12-4. They are hosting the Carolina Panthers. Panthers come in here at 5-11. Brady is favored by 8 points here, over under 41.5. As the playoff standings shake out, the Buccaneers are currently the 3rd seed. The Rams have the tiebreaker with the tied record based on head-to-head win percentage. So it would be a situation where the Rams would have to lose, Tampa Bay wins, and then they jump to the 2nd seed. There's no way for them to get a first-round bye, as we talked about it. The Packers have that locked up. So what's at stake here for Tampa Bay? Are we expecting their full team to play? I know they have so many injuries, so can they view this as an opportunity that you have Tom Brady? You know, if there's one guy you have that you kind of just don't give a fuck about seeding, it's Tom Brady, right? So is this an opportunity for them to rest their players, knowing that, like, biggest ceiling is 2nd seed, or, like, the floor would be 4th seed, I guess?
Yeah, if they win and the Rams lose to the 49ers and they get the 2nd seed, I'm not really sure if there's, like, any sort of benefit to that, but I don't. For the respect of the game, I'm sure they want to come out and try to get that 2nd seed.
Think so?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. At least for like the first half.
Yeah.
And you're playing the Panthers, who can't score points on offense. Dude. So you should be. They only scored 6 points in their first matchup.
Yeah.
So if you can go up 20-6, maybe you kind of go back a little bit and
a Packers situation where Brady 2 drives, 2 touchdowns, 14-0. You sit.
Yeah.
The Panthers are so bad.
How bad are they?
That they've defeated only one team with a winning record this season. And they started off pretty good. We're like, oh, look at the Panthers.
Sam Darnold, resurgence.
Yeah, it's just that ended so fast. And a lot of it has to do with the head coach. He is 10-22 as Panthers head coach, which is the worst winning percentage a Panthers coach has ever had. Right?
Matt Rule has got to go.
Yeah, unfortunately, some things,
Is it Rule?
Rule?
I think it's Matt Rule.
Yeah, I think it's Rule. But it's okay. You can add a little bit of twang in there. Russian roulette. Yeah. But yeah, this is a clear situation where a lot of things went wrong. Quarterback was wrong. Running back died. Wide receivers kind of fell off. Yeah. I don't even know what's that? What's his number 2 wide receiver's name?
Godwin?
No, on the Panthers.
Oh, Panthers. Yeah. Robbie Anderson?
Robbie Anderson. I don't know what the hell he was doing for the first half of the season. So
dropping a shit ton of passes.
Yeah, a lot. Like he had 11 targets.
Unheard of.
11 targets against the Vikings, and he caught 3 or something.
Yeah.
Something crazy. Yeah. But anyways, so a lot of things went wrong, right? Like defensive players started passing out, and not actually passing out, but leaving the game. All kinds of things went wrong for the Panthers, but fingers have to be pointed, especially when you have 32 games of data and you're 10-22 in that span. Unfortunately, somebody has to take the blame here, and there's a lot of things that need to be adjusted, and for that reason, they kind of need an overhaul, especially because they put so much effort. I don't see it.
Trading for Stephon Gilmore midseason when there's nothing that is that concrete for anybody to be like, the Panthers are for sure a contender. Let's get a shutdown corner.
I know. They tried so hard. I haven't seen a team that worked this hard and ended up with this bad of a record, right? They did everything they could, made the moves, added this, added that, picked up Cam Newton, tried everything they could, and it didn't work out. And for that reason, something's got to go. And unfortunately, it might have to be Rule.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, again, if it was just this season, maybe you're like, okay, let's give him another season. But 32 games, that's 2 full seasons. Yeah, I mean, again, the rumblings from Panthers fans, everything that, I know from Panthers fans as well, it's just not working. And again, like you said, as dysfunctional as everything has been, unfortunately, somebody has to take the blame. You can't just be like, it was just a lost season, everything was bad, let's just run it back next year. That can't happen.
In the last 13 games, so after they started off 3-0, they're 2-11 in that span, and that's tied for the worst record in the NFL in that span. They're tied with the Jaguars. Yeah. If a coach doesn't get fired for that, then I don't know when you get fired.
So
unfortunately,
the offensive coordinator got fired in sometime week 10 or something like that. And now I think it's Matt Rule or Rule.
Rule. Yeah, so the Buccaneers, again, at home, they have more to play for. Panthers disarray building for next season. Another team with quarterback question marks. I mean, it just seems like coaches and quarterbacks. I mean, I'm sure that's probably a theme of every offseason with a group of teams and players, but it seems like with the teams that we're going through, there's a long list of teams that need coaches, teams that need full-on makeovers, and teams that need new quarterbacks.
Yeah. I wanted to say this about the Buccaneers because I just went on a Panthers sucking rampage. I'm sorry. But the Buccaneers, they do have something to play for, and it's bigger than the seeding. It's their receivers. They have little to no receivers now, and it's time to see who can do what in the playoffs. Because right now, at this very moment, there is no reliability outside of Mike Evans, and he's not even reliable, not from a skill set standpoint, but from an injury standpoint. One wrong tweak, his hamstring's gone. then who the hell is going to catch passes?
Yeah.
Just everything to Gronk.
They've got Perriman and then Johnson.
Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, they're promising players, but they were promising because the biggest
they were complimentary.
Exactly. The
else.
biggest names on their team were getting guarded by the best players in the other team, and they just got to run around and have fun.
Yeah.
There's no more having fun now. They have to be the guy, and we'll see if they can do that.
That loss of the loss of Antonio Brown is definitely unfortunate.
Dude, that might be the reason they don't win a Super Bowl, unfortunately, but we'll see. There's a lot more football to be played.
Did you guys saw the new news reports on Antonio
Yeah.
Brown? I'm almost siding with Antonio Brown, given that he may have been injured, and Bruce Arians told him to come in, and he was just not ready for it.
Yeah,
and so
I think now he's just trying to save his ass. I think so. Yes, he was very well injured, but there's a process here.
Yeah.
You don't go to the game and sit in the sideline, wear the uniform, go in. Did he not go in the game at all?
Yeah, he played.
He played, right?
Half.
So from a medical standpoint, you don't allow that. If he passed all the medical exams before the game, they do some aggressive stuff to see if a player can play.
Yeah.
He was fully able to play. But during the game, he said the week before there was a 2-point conversion. Was that game or was it the week before? There was a 2-point conversion, and he said he tweaked it during that time on his text messages.
Yeah.
He said that's when he got tweaked. And if that was the game before, then how did you pass all those medical exams before?
How did
this
you
game?
practice?
Yeah,
how did you do all that?
So the team doctors definitely cleared him, said he was okay. The one thing that sticks out to me is the fact that he was saying that they gave him all these painkillers to just go in.
Yeah.
If he's healthy, then why are they giving him painkillers?
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm like,
everybody gets those.
And that's my thing is I feel like that's not uncommon in the NFL
Unfortunately,
or in any sport.
it's absolutely common.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely unfortunate because I don't think anybody should just be shot up and go back into a game because you're risking very, very big things in the future. But I think players in the NFL know, and at the end of the day, I think they still get the final say. It's not like the guy's shooting them up against their will, right? And the last thing I'll say about this is Antonio Brown has lost tremendous amounts of credibility because he fucking faked a vaccine card.
Yeah.
So, how are you going to trust what somebody says when, there's already concrete evidence that as recently as a couple weeks ago, they just blatantly lied about something? So, history does not side with Antonio Brown, unfortunately.
Absolutely not.
The thing is, though, but if he is right about this, right? You mentioned last week that, hey, if you go and you pick up Antonio Brown for your team. I mean, if he's right, then absolutely you go.
Here's a plot twist. Even if he's wrong, I still get Antonio Brown. Because what do you have to lose? You just remove Antonio Brown from the picture and you move on with your life. What do you have to gain? A Hall of Fame wide receiver that's still very much the best player on your team. No matter which team he probably goes on, he's probably the best wide receiver on that team.
Agreed.
There's a few players that are better than him, but there's just way too much that you can gain from having him on your team than losing. Because what's the worst that could happen? You just sign a contract that says if you do another fuck up thing, we cut you. You don't get the money. Done deal.
Yep.
And also one other thing, there was he kind of owned up to it. He said the switch flipped or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. So it kind of shows me that okay, he realizes there is a problem, and that kind of
dude. If you don't realize there's a problem at this stage,
I mean,
then we got to go to a psych facility.
Some people don't.
I just think words are empty. Actions speak louder. And then one thing I'll say is, if his ankle was in that much pain, how the fuck was he walking off and skipping in the end zone? There was no pain on his face. If he was sitting on the sidelines, that hurt. Coach, I can't go in because I cannot literally physically walk. He literally walked off. He was throwing it. There was no limp. There was not. He was skipping and hopping.
Yeah, there's too many.
The evidence is just stacked against him.
It's not in his favor, mainly because Bruce Arians is not gonna lie. I don't think head coaches. Anyways, we're gonna talk about this for hours. But Antonio Brown, I still love you. You gave me 2 fantasy football championships. I see the talent that's there. Unfortunately, he's not mentally stable, and until he's fully stable, he should not be playing for anybody.
Yeah, and any team that picks him up needs to have a coach or a leader that's a hard ass enough and that demands and can command a locker room and team enough that they need to let him know up front that they're not putting up with that shit.
I mean, if Bill Belichick can't hold him,
well, that was a different situation.
Yeah.
That was a Tom Brady thing, right?
No, that was the whole the charges that got brought into.
He got removed from that.
That's why he didn't play.
True, absolutely true.
He could potentially still go back to Patriots and Bill Belichick may be able to control.
Bill Belichick picks him up before the playoffs. All of a sudden, him and Mac Jones are just
dude. If I'm a GM,
watch out.
I don't care about off-field activities. I don't care if I'm a GM. I'm going Jerry Jones on this bitch, and I'm gonna sign him.
Yeah. I'm a little bit more hesitant just because the the ripple of like the Mike Evans thing, right? You guys saw Mike Evans talking to him on this. Did you guys see that camera?
He was like trying to hold him back.
I feel like that relationship's fucked now.
Yeah.
Right. So like he destroyed a relationship with the receiver that Mike Evans seems like one of the most humble, like just down to earth, cool dudes that you know, right? Yeah. So like that's the thing that worries me is like how much can he seep into that like negative
like
energy
a cancer,
to the rest,
right? Like an OBJ situation,
exactly.
right? Yeah. So that's why I think you got to outweigh the pros and the cons.
Yeah.
And just for me, there are some cons there that could ruin some things. Mm-hmm. But the pro is just so high. It's just so high. It's like one of the highest pros for a screw up like ever. This might be the highest pros for a screw up ever. And just as a avid football fan that cares about what happens on the field, if I was a coach, I would be so cutthroat. I would just be like, leave, like Bruce Arians said. Yeah. I'd be like, leave.
It was so big that Terrell Owens had to comment and say, hey,
40-some-year-old.
With all due respect, but no respect.
Yeah,
that's not me.
You guys remember Terrell Owens when he did make the comeback at like 38 and he had like hands of stone, couldn't catch anything?
Right.
Why does he believe that 10 years later he's literally pushing 50? Did his hands get better?
Yeah. I don't know about his hands, but his physical abilities, like he's still running routes with like players and stuff.
Right.
But
but like one hit across the middle at 48 fucking years old. I'm like, dude, like come on, man, use your brain. CT. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Again, the Browns saga in itself could be a whole fucking episode of this show.
Browns?
Antonio Brown saga.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like we could literally have an entire episode.
We'll see a documentary on Netflix here shortly.
100%. Let's kick it to the final game on Sunday.